How can I be gentle when I myself am made up of very sharp points? Those nearby, grazing in the valley, do not understand. They leave no food for the mountain.
My name is Zachery Leachman, and I'm a human, and I make things. When I was younger, I can't really remember much of it. I think it has something to do with the fact that I had a lot of issues with anxiety as a child. Um, I would have really bad issues with anxiety too, where I would cover my head with a pillow and scream into it because I thought there was this crushing sensation inside my head. And so early on in my life, I think I experienced a lot of pain, but it was not pain that really anybody understood around me. So it wasn't like an associative pain. A lot of times when you experience pain and it's something that you know other people experience, it feels, I don't know if I would say validated, but it feels more comfortable maybe. And when I was a kid, I had no idea why I was feeling the things that I would feel. And I think it set the stage for a lot of my life now. When I was young, I would listen to music in the car with my dad, and I would listen to music with my mom. And one of my first CDs that I was allowed to listen to on my own was Michael Jackson's, I think it was Thriller. It was a Thriller album. And I fell in love with it. I was like, wow, this is crazy. You know, it makes me want to move around and dance. And growing up, my mom always had stuff like Ace of Base and Madonna. And I don't know, as even a young boy, I remember hearing Like a Virgin by Madonna and just feeling really sexy. Like, yeah, this is awesome. And it was cool. It was like, man, this is where it's at. Music intrigues me a lot because it's a very involved but very ethereal thing. So it's intangible in a way because it's audio. It's floating through the air, you can't see it. But it brings into your mind emotions and images, regardless of whether or not it has words, just based on tone and just some of it you could describe and some of it you could explain, but some of it's totally unexplainable. It goes into the physical and maybe even a spiritual realm where, you know, frequencies vibrating through your body are doing something to you. Day to day, I wake up in the morning later than I should to the sound of Al Green backup train, usually, on my alarm clock, and hit the snooze button about 3 times before getting up in just enough time to throw on clothing and brush my teeth and grab an apple and drive frantically to work. I work at a roughly 9-to-5 job at a local metalworking shop. I find myself becoming a little more complacent with my time because when you're in a fixed location for 8 to 9 hours a day, you get off and not only you're physically tired, but I mean, you've either exhausted your energy for social interaction or your energy for mental interaction, and you are a little drained. And so I do what I can to move things forward outside of my job. That's kind of the double-edged sword of working a 9-to-5 job is you have to be very strategic with your time, and oftentimes, a lot of times, you don't have the energy to too. I mean, it's nice to have money, and it's nice to have consistency, and it is good to wake up at the same time every day. It's good to wake up in the morning with the sun and go to bed, at a decent time. But I think people are working more and more, and it's expected that you should work that much. You should do whatever it takes to make, enough money to survive. And in some sense, yeah, you have to, work hard to get what you want, but at the same time, people working 65 hours a week, it's like, they're not working for them. They're working to make money to pay for things. They're working for bills to, pay. They're working to exchange money for things they need to survive. And I guess my only wish in my life is that at some point that exchange is less dependent on money or more fluid, where there's a more fluid interaction between the things that I need to survive and the work that I'm doing. Because money's kind of the middleman. It's like you go to work and you put your time in, and even if you like your job, you're still not really working for yourself. And so you put your time in, and then you get your paycheck, and then, okay, I can pay for groceries. Okay, I can pay my cell phone bill. Okay, I can buy this new thing that I like. But I don't find myself often really being able to reap the spiritual benefits of those things, the true enjoyment of those things, because I have to immediately, after buying groceries, go back to bed and go to work the next day. So I don't know. I think it'd be different if I were a farmer or something. But I'm not sure if I like working all the time. That consumes most of my day. After that, I usually go home and relax for a few minutes and either start cooking or go for a run or do some calisthenics. And then I usually eat the meals I prepared, oftentimes really simple things, onions and garlic, and some kind of soup or a paste for a bread. And I really like salads. I eat a lot of salads. A light dinner is always good, especially if you're eating late. And I really like making dressings. And after dinner, I usually relax a little more and try to catch up on emails. I'll listen to some music, or I'll draw, or I will ride my bike. I have a lot of idle time. When I was younger, I tried a couple different instruments. None of them really stuck out to me, and when you're in band in high school or in grade school, they have you play these songs, and I could never really get into it. And so it didn't really encourage me to learn these instruments. I tried, and I thought they were cool. I tried cornet, the small trumpet, and I tried guitar, and it didn't really click with me. And I've had kind of a mechanical mind, not in the sense that I'm mathematic at all, but that I'm really analytical, and I'm really constructive. My favorite toys as a child were Legos. And what better way to learn to make music than with something that is a lot like Legos, sequencing things and building sounds and creating sound environments is a very musical process, and it is, in every sense of the word, an instrument. But when you're working with sequencers and you're working with electronic music, mostly digital, you do find yourself a lot of the time starved for something that feels natural, because you are making music with a machine. I mean, granted, you could play an instrument and stylistically just have a really dry, uninventive style and have the same issue. So with electronic music, sometimes you have to add it in. I like using everyday sounds because you can stagger them, you can record them in a way that makes it brings a natural element to music that is created in a digital world. And it's fun too, it's fun to go and record that and put it in a song. It's constructive, it's architectural, it's how can I build this world of noise and make it something coherent that somebody else could appreciate. Because I do it for me, but I don't make music just for me. I mean, I like my music. But if nobody else likes it, it's still important to me, but I feel like it kind of falls flat if nobody else can appreciate it. Then, I'm not testing myself. Music for me is like a journal entry. Sometimes I'm just bored and I want to make something. Sometimes I just have a word that's repeating in my head and I want to try to put it down in a way that's not just, writing it out. I work a lot in the realm of conceptual art and music where I'll take some kind of vague idea that I couldn't really explain, or maybe even something as simple as an animal or a type of flower, and I'll try to figure out a way to make a song that represents that without necessarily having words. Up until this point I haven't used much lyrics. I want to in the future. But everything does. I want to make music for everybody. Not necessarily music that everybody will like, but music for everyday life. I want to make music that fits behind the noise of chopping onions in the kitchen. I want to make music that can slide in between, the arguments you're having with your friends and family. I want to make music that can, blend in with the sound of people yelling on the street as you pass them in your car. I want to make music that, your kids can have fun to, maybe. And you can study to. And music that makes sweeping the house fun and makes you think about stuff. I am a writer, I'm an illustrator. I do everything I can. I have to make things. Whether or not they're good, whether or not they're, a refined piece of artwork at the end of my day is questionable. But I want to make everything. I really like illustration. I really like poetry, like short form, very minimalist poetry. I really enjoy making music. I just enjoy creating things. So I don't even know if I would refer to myself as an artist or an illustrator or any sort of, specialization, because I'm far from mastering any of this stuff. If it could be mastered, I'm very far from it. I have a lot of scattered interests that I, play to every now and then whenever I have the time. I like to write simpler stuff, right now anyway, because I'm not a learned scholar of literature. I'm not an avid reader. I read when I can. And in my experiences reading and writing, I often found myself brain at the idea of constantly constructing these grandiose and explorative metaphors and all these incredibly verbose imagery and things like that are fun, but at the end of it, I would always find myself tired. And so I thought, how can I make something that gets across this idea that I have, and only that idea, and in the way that I want people to hear it, and not necessarily leaving nothing to the imagination, because you can still expand on anything that I write in your own way. But at the end of my day, I really want to make things that are just here's this. Take it as you will. You can use it how you want. It can be a mantra for you in your daily life. You can throw it in the garbage. You can, enjoy it. But it's just a little breath of air. Just a little bit to get you going. A little bit of something to maybe kind of go, oh, that's something I could think about. I'd like to write longer things. I'd like to write books. I'd like to write, long pieces of literature. But right now, I really like small things because they're easily digestible, and I think people are more and more busy now. And in order to impact someone in their busy life, sometimes you have to say it in a way that sneaks it in there. I would always draw as a kid, and I've never been very good at copying things. I tried. I would always be I want to be able to draw that. And I think I just gave up eventually because I was always coming up with these ridiculous robots and these strange guys with squid arms and just finding ways to take these strange ideas that I had in my head and make them real. So I think that's where I started, as maybe just the idea of conceptual art, taking a concept, an idea, and trying to materialize it. And I was always really imaginative as a kid, so I think that's when I started drawing. I was just so young, and that's what I had. And everybody in my family thought I was pretty good at it. Now I find myself trying to find style and trying to refine and think of a way to present specific ideas, to go with a poem or to make a strong image that is conceptually good. It takes a lot of thought now. I wasn't really thinking about it that much as a kid though. But I think I've always been drawing. Five to 10 years from now, I still want to be making art, regardless of whether or not I make it a career, and I don't know if I ever will. I want to be making things. I want to be good at it. I want to be better than I am. I want to be more explorative and less afraid. I want to sing and not be afraid of doing that. I want to make people dance. I want to make people cry. I want good things. I want to maybe publish a book of poetry. I'm kind of working on that now. I always want to be making stuff, so that's going to happen regardless of what I do. 10 years from now, I might have a family. I've always really liked the idea of raising children. I want to travel. I is my body and honing my mind. Just trying to enjoy all the experiences I have. I'm not that concerned with how much I do. I just want to do things. It's difficult to be a human. Don't let anybody tell you that it's easy. Some people have it easier than others, and some people, pretend like they don't suffer and they don't feel pain. It's hard to be a human. And you should do whatever it takes in this world of, beauty advertisements and people making money off of, pain, and people profiting off of oppression, and people, doing things that they know will hurt people at a rate like never before. To be unapologetically yourself and force others to deal with it is going to be a good tool. You have to love yourself. You have to do whatever it takes to get through the pain and achieve your goals. Even if your goal is just getting out of bed in the morning. Sometimes that's my goal. Sometimes my goal is just getting up and smiling and saying, today's going to be a good day. Today, I'm not going to be completely floored by depression or anxiety. Today, I'm going to work out and cook myself a meal and take good care of myself. Today, I'm going to do the things that I want to do. It's hard to be a human. And it's not selfish. Don't ever let anybody tell you. Don't ever let anybody tell you that it's selfish to take care of yourself. You have to love yourself. At the end of the day, no matter what anybody needs from you, if you are drained, if you are, stripped dry to the bone, you can't take care of anybody. Everything you do matters, too. People a lot of times feel like nothing they do matters. That it doesn't matter, who cares, it's not going to change anything, right? It does. It does matter. Everything you do matters every single day. The way that you act, the way that you speak, the way that you behave matters. It impacts other people and it impacts you. Making a conscious effort to, act in a loving, kind way whenever you possibly can, whenever it's within your capacity, does change and create positive things inside you and emanating towards others. It does. And making a conscious effort to love yourself makes a change in the world. You may not change the entire world. You may not clean up the ocean. You may not get rid of all the pollution. But the things that you do matter. Everything that you do as a human being on this planet matters. You cannot exist without affecting change in the world around you. And that is something to A, be both very responsible about, but two, be very happy that you have that power. It's amazing. And that's what I remember when I feel like garbage. That's what I remember when I can barely function because of my stressors and my pain in my life, is that I have the ability to affect the world around me just by simply existing, just by nature of being a living, breathing, organic being.